Hello you, I'm Zenidora, and this is a quick how-to guide on how the Corrective Blendshape Grid feature works from the Corrective Blendshape Grid plus ARKit prefix override plugin. To start off, there are a couple of things you need to do before you can fully use this plugin. Step 1. Install the plugin and make sure you're able to locate the Corrective Grid asset when adding a new asset in Warudo. Step 2. Make sure you have corrective ARKit blend shapes on your model. The ARKit tracking from your model will be used as normal with this plugin. The only thing you will be adding are corrective blend shapes that go on top of the existing ARKit tracking. With that being said, you can use any blend shapes to both drive and activate with this plugin, but we recommend using the ARKit blend shapes to drive them as this is a common tracking solution and supported by Warudo. Let's get started. To start off with, we do want to add the corrective grid asset, so we're just going to locate that underneath blend shapes, which is here, and then here is the asset that we want. The blend prefix groups is also included in this plugin, but we're not going to go over it in this guide. And this is what it looks like when you load it in. So it can be a little bit confusing to start off with, but don't worry, we'll take it step by step. Now, the first thing we want to select is our character. And once that is selected, there will be a grid that pops up, which is connected to the grid layout that has been selected. Now, this is currently not active because we haven't set our driver blend shapes yet. But basically, what will happen is it will show a live position, which is where the tracking is currently seeing your tracking being at that point. There will be a plus Y, a plus X, and a minus X for this specific layout. And what will happen is we'll have to set our driver blend shapes and our grid points. To start off with, I want to do a corrective blend shape setup where it corrects my frown and my smile together with jaw open. So the jaw open will be the Y, and for the minus X and the plus X, there will be frown and smile respectively. So that's what we're going to quickly set up. So I'll do that now. Okay, now we've set up our driver blend shapes. So we have set up mouth smile for left and right, mouth frown for left and right, as well as jaw open. So these are our plus X, minus X, and plus Y drivers respectively. Now you can see here that I've added multiple ones. You don't have to do that. You can set up just a single one if you'd like. But I've put multiple so that I make sure it gets triggered with both left and right sides. For example, if you do a smirk and you want it to be activated, but you only have the other side as a driver, then that won't work. So that's why I've set this up. And we can now move over to setting up the grid points. So the grid points have now been set up. So the ones that I've set up are blend shapes that I've created. So to start off with, it's draw open plus smile plus 1. So again, you can name these anything you want. You just need to make sure that you remember them and that you can find them from the drop down, or you can put them directly in. You don't need to necessarily select them. By default, it sets them all to weight 100. The position by default is also set to 0, 0. So if you decide to go in and select multiple ones that start with, it might look a little bit weird while you're setting it up because it will all be overlapping on 0, 0, which is when you do nothing. So we can see here that for jaw open plus smile plus 1, I've set that up to 1 position X, 1 position Y. So that would make it over here. Yes. So jaw open, smile is this. You might have to change the numbers or even make some blend shapes look more exaggerated if you wanted to, as sometimes the 1 to 1 isn't necessarily activated because it's quite an extreme blend shape, if you will. It's not something you would normally do out on a whim. I've also set up frown 0. Now what this does is it basically changes the frown's base to the one that I want. So it is a corrective blend shape still, but it makes it look the way that I want. So this is what this would look like. So as you can see, I can't necessarily fully activate it with my face and with my tracking, but to just see the difference, we will display this now. It is very subtle. But that's just a preference. You can make it as extreme as you'd like, as long as it makes sure that everything doesn't clip with anything else. And lastly, I've set up jaw open plus frown plus 0.5. Now, this one is set to position -1, 1, and this should basically activate when it's over here. So it's quite difficult, I found, to activate this type of blend shape, but it should look something like this. More or less. I'm not the best at activating it, so apologies. But yes, this is the thing I've set up now, and this works wonders for what I like. You can also press the sort grid points to sort them by X and Y position for easier navigation if you make a bunch of them. Because you can set the position as you like, you can do a lot of combinations, and you can see that once you have made a grid point, a plus will appear. So you can see there's a plus here, and a plus here. So I could even make one, for example, just for testing purposes. Let's do this one. This is set to 0, 0 right now. So this replaces the basic or base blend shape that is currently being activated. It doesn't look great, of course, but it shows that it is definitely working. And then when you do other blend shapes, it will transition between the two. You can turn the weight on and off. You can adjust it if you don't want it as strong. That could work, yes. So let's remove this and move on to the second example. So now we're moving on to the second example, which will be using a different grid layout. So we start off again. I've added another Corrective Grid asset here, as you can see. And we're starting off again by selecting our character to get the grid up. And then what we want to do is we want to select a different layout. So here you can see that there is a plus X and a plus Y. Those are the only ones there, which is fine. That's exactly what we want. And what I want to basically set up is that once I do a smile with my teeth closed, so not a jaw open, I then want it to look differently. So this is what my model currently looks like. As you can see, it has a small gap and it's not the shape that I want. So that's why I want to fix it. Now, you could make the argument that I could change the ARKit blend shapes, and that is completely valid. But instead, I wanted to add a correctiveness because I find that easier to set up and adjust. So we'll start off by adding our drivers. Okay, so I've added my drivers here now. So for the X, I've added mouth smile left and mouth smile right to make sure that this gets triggered on both smile sides. And then for the Y drivers, I've only added mouth lower down left and mouth upper up left. Now I could add mouth lower down right and also mouth upper up right, but just for demonstration purposes, I haven't added those. So what we basically want to happen is that when we have our mouth open and smiling but teeth closed, it will look different. So let's quickly add our grid points. Okay, now you can see that I've added my grid points. So basically I've added one blend shape called smile_corrective, and another blend shape called big_smile_corrective too. Now these are not very descriptive, but basically what they do is smile corrective changes the way that my mouth looks when I'm not doing anything. So right now you can see that it has a different shape. So you can do this to effectively replace what shape of the mouth that your model has when no tracking is taking place or no blend shapes are being used. So if I move my mouth left and right, it will still keep that shape because it is corrective. So it goes on top of the existing ARKit tracking. Now we've also added big smile corrective too. So the first one was on 0.000000, and the second one is on position 1, 1, more or less. So as you can see by the grid here, 1, 1 is here, and then 0, 0 is the one that we did to change the shape of our mouth. So if I do this, my mouth looks different, and I can better display this way. it's quite a drastic change. I haven't fully perfected how I want it to look, but I think that was personally a massive upgrade for me. And again, it's the same as the other one. You can sort the grid points to make it easier to navigate if you add lots of grid points, or if you add lots of things to your Corrective Blendshape system. Of course, there is a last layout, which is this one, which allows you to do both a minus plus, sorry. There's also a last grid system, which we haven't touched yet, which allows you to add a plus y, plus x, and minus x. And it looks like this. So you can put a point at any of these places. For example, if I change this one to be like so, then you'll see there's an X here instead of where it initially was. And this is how you can add a bunch of Corrective Blendshapes if you want. You can have them look differently between each point, and it should transition between them smoothly. Now, I hope this was useful and helpful, and that you have fun with this. Okay, thank you so much.